Coming up next on the Talk of the Town, Mike Vasquez is on the line. He heard our conversation with Claudia Tenney earlier.
He's got a comment for, Bob's question, I believe. So we can talk about that coming out of a break.
Straight ahead on the Talk of the Town. Thanks, Jill. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Bob Cardella is with us today, the poli-sci guy, and Mike Vasquez is on the line, the political commentator from the Southern Tier. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How is everybody?
Doing okay. You planning some big Valentine's weekend events this weekend, or what?
I'm single. Although I have to say, I love listening to you guys every day.
Yeah, we're honored that you listen down in the Southern Tier instead of to Binghamton Radio.
Well, I listen to both. But I find it interesting. Sam, I still think she would love it if she did get the ring this weekend, even though she mentioned she's not. I'm pretty sure she'd love it.
I would. You're right. I would love it.
Okay.
All right, so see, you never say never.
Mike paid attention. Who knows? You got the opportunity to woo some of the ladies down there. Or Mike, come on, you're single. But I know you were listening into that last segment that we had with Claudia, and you had some comments regarding the question that Bob asked her and some of the campaign financing.
Let's refresh a little bit with Bob Cardillo. What was the question you asked her about financing?
No, my point was, she was talking about this, and I don't know this other fellow, but about the campaign contributions that he's given to the governor and maybe other candidates.
Steve Wells, who's also running for the 22nd Congressional.
He, from a business perspective, he's contributed.
Mm-hmm.
And, Donald Trump has clearly said, hey, look, I paid to play because it was the kind of game that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
As a developer, I gave to both sides and whatever. So my point was, what's the difference between, Steve Wells and Donald Trump? Although Donald Trump's running for president, that's his point on money and needing to use money was, I thought, interesting. So that's why I made the comment.
And Mike, what do you think?
Well, I respectfully disagree. I've done 18 articles on this race. I've interviewed 2 of the Republicans and 1 of the Democrats in this race. I don't think anyone knows more about this race than me. And I can say Mr. Wells has a problem. He's the volunteer chairman of the GOP, and the GOP is completely unaware. And this crowd, when she spoke to me for that quote, mentioned no one in the GOP is even aware of this, and it's somewhat of an impropriety when you have a GOP state member, chairman, who is making donations to several of the Democrats out there, and he's making them, and these donations are coming from 5 different cities over the last 15 years, consistent.
And this is from research that you've done, Mike.
This is all the research. It's all documented. It's in several of my articles that I've written on him in this race. He's refused to, or he has not yet, take and respond to any calls I've made to him on this, because I don't think he wants to answer it, but that's my personal opinion. There's several questions here, and that's just one of them. That's an issue that we have to consider. We have to look at what's his reason. He's had the website since January 8th. He's been preparing for this for some time through research I've been able to find out, and yet he's so not willing to tell the public what does he stand for, what is he running for. These are issues. When you're adding them all together, it raises a lot of questions, and I think that it seems more like it's inappropriate with his donations when you take everything into consideration.
Talking to Mike Vasquez, political observer from the Southern Tier, here on the Talk of the Town at 100.7 FM, WUTQ, formerly running for office. Interested in politics, interested in an office of some kind ever again, Mike, yourself?
Absolutely. But that's something further down the road. At this time, I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing now, which is trying to keep all of the candidates honest and up to date. So far, I've talked to everybody in this race except for George Phillips. I know he won't speak to you either. Actually, not really anyone, and I haven't spoken to Steve Wells, as I mentioned. But I'm going to keep trying because I want to make sure people know everything about all of them.
Can we disclose your political affiliation? Are you registered?
Sure, I'm a registered Republican. I'm a conservative Republican, and I ran in 2014 for Congress.
Just for the record, just want to make sure. Numbers to reach us, 624-0870 if you want to chime in on this conversation, 624-0870 on the Talk of the Town, or text us, 623-0373.
And I can see the point that you're making, Mike, as you mentioned, maybe the perceived impropriety there of being, higher up in the party, the Republican Party, and then giving those donations. So I guess my question, going back to Bob's statement, which I agree with him somewhat on what he has said about Donald Trump. Donald Trump has said that, and he's public about it.
Yeah.
So I guess that is the other question, what would be the reaction? Obviously, you have not spoken to him, and no one has really at this point, but what would Mr. Wells' reaction be to, answering those questions? I think.
Well, I have to say, let's look at where we're talking about. We're talking about New York State, probably one of the most, if not the most corrupt government that we have. And I say that not because, in my opinion, that's Bahar, who's gone through and started cleaning house because of the corruption that's here.
He said he's not done the other day. He said he's still looking at things.
Exactly. We still have, and we all know this, everyone knows New York is corrupt, and this is something we need to clean house with. And our governor is one of the people who are targeted there. And I find it odd that the excuse is, well, New York's a pay-for-play kind of political system, and it's okay that we would accept that, knowing that our state is one of the most corrupt, from someone who's been playing both sides. I mean, where does he stand for the people? Where does he stand? If he has a belief that a Republican believes, as he's stating by running for the Republican nomination, then where is his support and his standing there? I mean, there are no public statements from him at all. Where does he stand? How can we believe him in saying that he has our interests as people at heart when his only action we can judge him by is going out there and taking care of his business interests at any cost necessary?
Bob Cardillo wants back in here.
I agree with you. I think what he should do, meaning Mr. Wells,
Yes.
he should probably come forward and explain this. That would be the easiest thing to do, a la Donald Trump. Say, hey, look, have you ever dealt with people in New York City before? Have you ever gone before, the zoning board and had to figure out how to do this? I'm sure, and he's readily admitted that he's given a lot of money to get some of the things done that he had to get done. The other thing I would think about here is, we talk about pay-for-play. I've been a proponent of campaign finance reform, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the super PACs and the money that they spend, it's amazing. Last night Hillary Clinton kind of didn't answer the question about George Soros' $10 million super PAC. She made a point of saying she has 700,000 other contributors, but she failed to answer the question about the $10 million that Soros gave her when, Bernie Sanders, and I don't support anybody publicly, when Bernie Sanders is getting contributions an average of $27, that to me is citizen democracy. That's democracy at its best. When the people are making the choices, not a super PAC that can contribute $10 million, whether it's on the Republican side or the Democratic side.
I can't dispute that. It's great to see people involved and see people hold the candidates accountable and also reward them with their donations. I think that's a great statement of democracy.
And Mike, best of luck getting those other guys to join you for an interview, too.
Well, hopefully you guys are going before me.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
8:49 on the Talk of the Town with Dave J. Sam and Bob Cardillo, our poli-sci guy, Mike Vasquez, a political observer on the line there from the Southern Tier.
And Mike did mention he touted himself a little bit, but he was correct in saying he probably is one of the best ones with the understanding of how this race is going right now. And he does articles, the Examiner, it's examiner.com, www.examiner.com, and you can check out some of Michael's articles on this congressional race.
All right.